Right. It's not fun.
We just played your clip. Guys, it is 5 o'clock. It is time for After Hours Real Estate. And that bastard, Elon Musk and his DOGE crew, they're screwing the housing market. That's what's happening. That's what we're talking about today. Um, I am, I'm Chris. It says so right here, right there below me. I'm a real estate agent just outside of Austin, Texas, and Dripping Springs, Texas. And that guy right there, his name is not Motto. His name is Steve, and he works for Motto in Austin, Texas, or just outside of Austin, Texas, in Lago Vista, Texas. Guys, on this show, we talk about real estate, the real estate market, mortgages, economics, and because it's after 5, we tend to have some adult beverages while we do this. And the whole point behind the show is it's like you're sitting around while we're at a bar drinking a beer and talking about stuff. And yeah, that's the point. But don't sit there like a bump on a log. If you've got thoughts, if you've got questions, unless you're going to be mean, don't be mean. But if you've got thoughts or questions, drop them into the chat. That's what we're here for. This is a hell of a lot more fun when we have people to talk to other than each other, right? I don't know.
Agreed.
He's tired because his kids have been off of school for one day now for spring break, and he's already exhausted.
I've been off since Friday.
I just want to remind people that, when you're tired after spending an extra day or two with your kids, just think about their teachers the next time you want to complain about them, because they're with
The
your kids 5 days
truth
a
is,
week.
my kids are fine. I went and spent the night at a friend's house last night who invited me over. They lived an hour and a half away, near you actually.
Oh
And
my God.
yeah, and I didn't want to drive home when I could have, so I said yes. And we did not go to bed early, so I'm quite tired.
There you go. Perfect. Well, my friend, do you have your adult beverage today?
I have a water today, my friend. I didn't have any beer in the house.
Wow.
I know I usually have beer in the house, but I haven't been buying beer recently. So
I'm going to say that was a long night.
it was good though. It was good. I had beer last night.
Oh, you know what? I had to pick up something because I was at the river this weekend with my niece and nephew and my sister-in-law. And I left the beer that I bought here, so I had to make do at the corner store down there. And so I ended up with the Houston beer, which I typically don't
Poor
because I
thing.
don't like Houston beers. But St. Arnold Art Car IPA, it will work. It will work. So anyway, um, man, Aaron Llewellyn drove the family to a cruise ship, and Houston traffic blows. Did you just like drop them off at the cruise ship and then come? Like, I'm not
Peace.
understanding this. And yes, absolutely. Why are you in Houston traffic? That's miserable. Um, oh,
Got their Irish red for
Irish.
today. It
Okay.
is it is St.
Um,
Patrick's Day
it is
today.
St. Patrick's Day. Happy St. Patrick's Day. And he did. He dropped the family off on a cruise ship and left. That's peak Aaron, if you ask me. That's what that is. Um,
He may have a really great thing going for him. Yeah.
hey, you know what? The- I'm not gonna fault a man for that. Here we go. Cheers with your water,
Cheers.
guys. I found this article, and I think it's funny. And I'm gonna go. Well, no, we're not gonna get political. We never get political, do we?
We
Um,
try not to.
we try not to. I want to see. Go ahead and just open this thing up, and let's dive into it.
You sent it to me. I couldn't even open it. It's one of these stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many pop-ups. I couldn't get them to close. I couldn't see
Oh,
anything. I was like, forget
it's
it.
been popping up. It's one of those like it's not a normal. Um, it's not a normal news. Well, it is because news things now they just like go crazy with pop-ups because nobody wants to buy their stuff.
Well, on the computer, it probably looks fine, but on the
Yeah,
on the
it's
cell
better on the
phone,
computer. So this is the economic times dot indiatimes.com. So take this with a grain of salt. But this originated somewhere. US may be staring at a housing crisis thanks to Elon Musk and DOGE. Seems interesting, right? Let's find out what they say. We're not even going to do the synopsis. Let's jump into this. The US housing market is on the brink of a collapse as Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency pulls the plug on affordable housing projects nationwide, according to a new report. As an aside, didn't they just announce that they're going to start using government land to build affordable housing? I swear I saw 5 or 6 of those articles today. Anyway,
The truth is, it's hard to keep up with everything that's coming out.
it really is. So a report from mytrade.com reveals that monthly housing costs in the US soared to a record $3,104 in January. Mortgage payments alone have nearly doubled in the past 5 years, now averaging $2,237 per month, plus $416 for property taxes and $361 for insurance. At the same time, home prices surged by $31,000 to a median price of $446,300, the second highest in history.
Well, they
So,
searched a hell of a lot more here, so I'm not sure what they're talking about, but
yeah, I don't
fine,
know.
probably average.
But anyway, so interesting that I don't think, yeah, I guess that does add up to 3,100. I thought those numbers didn't make sense, but they do. Okay. DOGE's cost cutting measures impact thousands. What just happened?
I'm telling you, this website, man, they don't want anybody to read their articles. They
What
want
in
to
the
go out of business.
world? What just happened? Did I just get a disease?
Don't click allow.
What
Oh
happened here?
man.
Oh my God, guys, I think I just got a virus on live TV.
No.
Hang on.
You didn't accept anything. You just literally clicked I'm a robot.
Oh my gosh. Let's try this again. I'm going to kill this. Let's put this here.
Tell you
I'm
what,
going to get
select all, Control A on the article, and then paste it into like a Word document or something.
You think that'll work? Let me
It
see.
does work.
But hang on, we're here. I'm just going to keep rolling.
Okay, good luck.
Okay. DOGE's aggressive budget cuts have reportedly shut down housing projects in over 1,000 communities and forced the closure of at least 8 national organizations providing technical assistance to housing programs. Man, have you read anything about this?
No, I have not. I have heard that there were some appliance programs that were supposed to like lower energy costs, and they did for the 200 people that got a washing machine, right? But apparently they spent a whole $1 billion on like 200 people's washing machines. You start doing the math on that, and you don't even need $1 million to do 200 people's washing machines.
Holy Lord.
I'm pretty sure we could cover the rest with another million, which leaves
Yeah.
$998 million left over.
Yeah.
So, I would be very interested to know more specifics instead of just reading 1,000 communities and outrage. Like I want to know specific, but I also know personally vets that have spotless records that have been let go by Doge that are pissed because they're like, I didn't do anything wrong. I'm not even in a department that's not. I mean, I wrote back my 5 things. I'm in a
Right.
great department. I'm serving my country. We're not one of these just sit around don't work departments. It's actually black ops for one of these guys. He's like, I just got let go. And so hey, who knows, right? The counter argument is we're in debt, so we
Yeah.
gotta let some people go, right? But I who knows, man? There's so much news coming out. It's really hard to know what's real and what's not. And I've never actually been this confused ever. If you,
Yeah. It's really kind of interesting.
I really go to two main sites, like in the morning, right? I get my news feed and all that, and X and all that. But then I go to Zero Hedge and Drudge Report. And Drudge Report used to be right leaning, but they've turned. He hated Trump so much that he's become a left leaning. Matt Drudge is his name. He's become a left leaning outlet. So
Matt Drudge
anything
doesn't
left
own
is
it anymore.
say again.
Matt Drudge doesn't own it anymore. He sold it.
Oh,
It's not.
so he hated
That's
Trump
when the
so much he
split
sold
happened.
it. Is that what happened?
It didn't have anything to do with
Okay. Well,
Trump.
hey,
At least from what I understand,
either
he
way,
sold it.
you
Yeah.
want to get the other side. That's a great. I mean, I know there's other websites that push both sides in the middle, etc. But it's been
Yeah.
wonderful to see everything that everyone else is seeing, on both sides, right? And it's a confusing time.
Yeah,
They can't both be right. Elon
that's
can't
right.
be a savior and a Nazi at the same time, right? You just can't be wrong. So the arguments on both sides are too absolute, and it's very
Yeah,
interesting to see, though. There's a lot of whininess out there.
there is. So the move eliminated funding for two of the three organizations responsible for administering Section 4 program, a federal initiative supporting housing development in underserved areas. So, we didn't shut down housing projects. We got rid of two of three organizations. I would think that's a different thing. But let's see what they say here. One of the hardest hit organizations is the Local Initiative Support Corporation. The Department of Housing and Urban Development canceled all of LISC's Section 4 awards and technical assistance grants, cutting off $30 million in federal support. The organization had been funding lead-based paint removal in Arkansas, first-time homebuyer support for teachers in the Mississippi Delta, renovations for an abandoned mill in Maine. Those seem to be very, very specific things in very local areas that aren't really like, I don't know how those specific things would affect the entire everything that they're saying. Anyway, with the funding gone, all of these projects are now indefinitely stalled. According to Realtor.com, the U.S. housing market requires an additional 3.8 million homes to meet 2024 home buyer demand. However, with DOGE eliminating critical funding, the gap is expected to grow.
Wait, are you seeing that we don't have enough homes for people to buy?
No,
I mean, you and I said that there was going to be somewhat of a housing shortage if we didn't buy more homes, but build more homes. The builders have been building homes, and they've been selling them like crazy. And just now they're starting to slow down a little bit, but they're still selling them.
yeah, yeah, they are. This is the projection. We keep seeing this from Realtor.com. Like, this is the projection for the next 10 years, I think,
Aaron,
we're talking
Aaron,
about.
you've hit on something that you're not supposed to talk about,
That's right.
which is when you say a word like affordable and then you throw something else next to it like housing, or you can actually do a lot of other words next to that. Then who is it that defines the word affordable? Because to me, affordable is free, right? That's affordable to me. If I'm making $1 million a year, affordable is $1,000 car payment. Who cares, right? If I'm making $100,000 a year, $1,000 car payment seems like a small fortune to pay, right? And so, there is no such thing as affordable housing because you can't define it, right? And then
Right.
there's the whole tax system. Um,
But it sure
just don't
sounds
get me
good.
started.
It sounds good to talk about affordable housing programs, Steve. Damn it.
The best way to be affordable for everyone else is to give them good jobs.
And wait, Steve. Then by that logic, these government programs would not be necessary. Wait a minute. What did you just say? I don't know how much that sector makes up in the market because, again, Aaron, it doesn't exist. There's no such thing as affordable housing.
Well, we
What,
have
what,
defined it here, and then we define it per state, and then per county. And
yeah,
each
it's
county
got
has
to do with
a
income.
different area median income, and we
Yeah,
try to be fair. But when you do study, yeah,
too late.
exactly,
Too
dude.
late, Trent. Thanks, man. I
It's so
appreciate it.
funny. Yeah, could have been useful yesterday. When you do study this stuff, some programs help, but for the most part, um, we need to get the wages up.
Can I be cynical?
Yes.
I mean, look, requires an additional 3.8 million homes to meet 2024 home buyer demand. Like, seriously, if we put 3.8 extra million homes on the market right now, what would happen to the market?
It would crash.
I mean, you want to talk about a bubble bursting. Go and in this magical world where you can snap your fingers and build 3.8 million homes in a year, it can't happen. But if you could, talk about crashing a housing market. Wow, that would make affordable homes,
Well,
wouldn't
I
it?
mean, look, affordable housing either has to be a low price, um, or you do a low rate, right, for like a lower mortgage payment. Um, anytime you start messing with rates and things like that, they always come with stipulations. There's always There's
Yeah,
always some catch to the free lunch, and I mean, I've seen some situations where it looks like maybe it's a good situation, but then when you compare it to the going rates, usually those rates aren't the same. You're getting hit
yeah,
somewhere, so they can make up for this free money that isn't really ever free.
that's right.
Um,
Well,
you know,
and that's where I was going to go cynical on that is, look, if we want the government to fund things to shrink the gap and produce houses that are quote unquote affordable, I think at this point we've seen enough government inefficiency to understand that that's not going to happen.
you know
I
where
mean, what did you
you
just
know
say
where it
about
might help.
$1 billion?
Where it might help is if they were to uh, give grants or tax breaks to companies that were, you know, researching certain things, right? Like I keep saying that we need to have some sort of new material for 3D printed homes.
Oh yeah,
If you if you could make, instead of using concrete, you use something similar to it, but that's cheaper,
if you can
and you
decrease
have
the cost of building the house, yeah,
some sort of like Lego stamp or something, and then you just fill that in with your concrete filler, whatever it's called, and
that
you print
exists.
up a 3D home real fast. I'm telling you, the technology is almost there for that.
So
Um,
you want to fund innovation?
what? Yes. If you're going to say the government needs to do something, then yes, I would say let's. And I don't even want to say fund. I would say promote.
Promote?
Right.
Yeah,
Tax breaks. Right. I'm all for tax breaks for
yeah,
certain industries we want to push towards. Right. We
absolutely.
need more chip plants here in America. What if not only wouldn't we tax you as a business, but we wouldn't tax you or any of your employees for 10 years after joining the company, right?
Yeah,
Everyone and their mother would want to work for a chip
that's
plant
right.
because now you're getting 0% taxes, just like you're a vet, or something. And that kind of thing, I think, hey, man, you can really wave your wand, you know what I mean?
Move the
Doing that
needle.
kind of thing.
Yeah,
Um,
you're not going
Anyways.
to put
Well,
billions of
otherwise you
dollars.
have to take money from someone else and then give it to who you think is the best. And
Right.
that's theft, in most places, but unless you're the government. And so, and people don't like that, right? And so I don't know. I just that bothers me. I am an
And he's not
independent, but
making
man,
the
that stuff
right or the
bothers me.
left argument. He's saying that that exists as a true, and it does. That is a truth. Okay. Pending home sales hit a record low. Data from NAR shows that pending home sales dropped 4.6% in January, with significant declines in the Midwest, South, and West. That includes Texas. The South saw the steepest drop, while the Northeast experienced a slight gain. Pending home sales index, key indicator based on contracts signings, fell to 70.6 in January, an all time low. This marks a 5.2% year over year decline, signaling ongoing struggles in the housing market. Thought we needed 3.8 million houses. Hmm. Rising mortgage rates further strained affordability. In January, mortgage rates ranged from 6.91 to 7.04, making homeownership even more expensive compared to
More expensive than when, right? They've
a
actually come
year
down
ago.
quite a bit.
Oh no, yeah, you're right. Compared to a year ago, the monthly mortgage payment on a $300,000 home rose by an additional $50 to $1,500.
Yeah, I
What
mean,
the
the rates were up
hell?
to. I mean, they're honestly, that's if anyone that is following along has not picked up on how ridiculous these numbers are. Um, in order to get a number like that, you're going to have to be like, well, someone bought a $75,000 home, and then somebody else bought a $3 million home, right? And like, you're going to have
Yeah.
to. I mean, that's
Oh my God,
obnoxious.
that's dumb. That's just dumb.
Yeah.
Um, and by the way, if you're following along at home, mortgage rates have been slowly settling down. They've kind of flattened out here over the last couple of weeks, but that's for another time. With
I mean,
affordability, we're
I never give a rate when people ask me because they fluctuate so much and there's so many rules around it. But when people force one out of me, I say we're around seven, right? I say we're in the low sevens, high sixes is what I say,
yeah,
right? Because then I haven't actually quoted a rate, but I've been saying that we're around the low sevens for 6 months.
yep,
Not much has really changed.
no, not much. With affordability worsening and critical federal housing funds disappearing, the U.S. housing crisis shows no signs of easing. Okay, how do you feel about that?
I don't know. I think I got nothing from that article. I'm very sorry.
Look, all I needed to know is that Elon is responsible for the housing crisis.
So look, the truth is, anybody watching, if there's anyone at all at this point, that we used to get articles all the time talking about, the not stock market, the mortgage market, housing market, and it'd be easy for us to just go and grab one and talk about what's been going on. But the reality is, there's so much news out there right now that the places we go to are releasing articles like, meh, not much happened this week. And it's like, literally, that's the headline.
It
I mean,
is
it's it's
like
so
all of this
boring.
stuff is happening, but nothing's happening.
Hey, yeah, it's almost like some explosion has happened, and the people that were typing were like, and they just stopped, right? And they've just it's so strange. But I'll tell you what is weird is the stock market has not been doing well.
No,
And when the stock market usually goes down, people, the big institutions, all the big money will pull out of it and put it someplace they deem safe. And typically
what would
that's
be
been
cheaper than
mortgage bonds.
stocks?
That's say again.
Said what would be cheaper than stocks? Yeah, you were going to mortgage bonds.
Well, yeah,
That's
well,
where I was
usually
going.
it's. I mean, they call it something different, but the bond market, but basically it's mortgage bonds, right?
Yeah,
You buy people's mortgages. You're not going to get rich, but you're not going to get unrich. You're not going to get poor
yeah,
either,
you're not
right?
going to get unrich. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
unrich. I like unrich better. What's weird is that the bond market is what sets the prices for the mortgages, right? The bond market has had this ceiling of right around 420. I said it on the other show, and it's just the funniest number because you just it's been they've been reporting 420 for like 2 years now. And it's just God, it's so funny to hear that. Anyways, and so long story short is that after the market crashed again, like a few days in a row, bonds are just holding steady, and that should be. I mean, for nerds out there, that should be an article by itself. Is
Right.
where's all the safe money going? What's going into gold, right? People don't trust our bond market, which is really scary because that basically means they don't trust our government. Now,
There is also a lot of money just going into land.
well, the bonds
Big
haven't
money.
crashed; they just haven't gone up like you'd expect. But they
Right.
haven't really been doing that since 2008.
No,
So
no.
who
It's
knows?
dude, it is a weird time. Like I try to explain to people what's going on, and I think we talked about it last week. Mortgage loan applications are reportedly at like a 14-month high. Are y'all seeing that?
We're seeing a bunch of them, but at the same time, you compare it to 3 years ago, 4 years ago, and I mean, it's not even.
Well,
Nope.
no, but I mean 14-month high, that's significant right now.
So we're seeing a lot of first-time home buyers. That seems
Okay.
to be just, I mean, you grow up, you want to buy a house, man. It sucks. The market sucks, but it sucked for years. So like, what are we gonna do? Just wait, right? So I
And
mean, I think a lot of them are just jumping in.
you know what's interesting about that though? And that's tracking with what I'm seeing in Dripping Springs because we're not really a first time home buyer type market. There's some new home inventory that would be considered first time home buyer for, you know, Dripping Springs, Austin, kind of the higher price suburbs. But you can find houses a lot cheaper in Bastrop and San Marcos and Elgin and Taylor. But the it's almost like, and we've talked about this before. It's almost like the first time home buyers don't have that recollection of, oh my God, interest rates were 3.5%, and they're like, yeah, it's time to buy a house. I've got some cash. I can afford it. Let's go.
Yeah. What does it
It's
look
so
like?
it's
Let me know.
weird.
Yeah.
It's a weird disconnect between the different parts of the housing market. Right? It's completely odd to me. It's fascinating, actually.
But what
I
I
don't know how
still
many.
think is the funniest are people that would warn their kids about not buying a home when the rate was so low. Oh God, I don't like how depressed the blah blah blah. Just number. If I could give anybody any advice, it would be don't listen to your family when it comes to buying a house. But when everything else, you should listen to your family. It's the funniest thing in the world, right? But I mean, I had a guy one time who one of his best friends was a lender in California, and I was giving him a really great rate. And then he tells me that his friend in California said my rate's dog not good, and to get me to lower the rate. Well, I was giving him the best rate I could. Sorry, can't do any better. This is what I have. Take it or leave it. And after 15 days, I finally called the guy. I'm like, look, I can't close your loan in time anymore. You're going to have to go with somebody else. I'm really sorry. He'd been shopping the whole time. I saw all the reports of,
Yeah.
when he pulled his credit, and he couldn't find anybody better, which I was pretty happy about. I then found out later that the guy ended up closing like 90 days afterwards, had to pay 2 extensions, and had a rate that was almost 1% higher than the one I was offering him. And so, you can listen to your friends. You can, but I mean, don't when you're buying a house. And doesn't that sound terrible to say out loud? God,
I mean, look, at the end of the day, I don't, I mean, I know some really scuzzy realtors, and I know some really scuzzy lenders, and I know some really scuzzy insurance people. But for the most part, I think all of them really try to do the right thing and are really well educated and are trying to help out. Like, it's not like 90% of this business is out there trying to screw the general public,
no,
because
but they all have a knife. They all have a knife to their throat, though, with the
yeah,
way that the rules are
absolutely,
written. So
absolutely.
the consumer has the power, anyways.
Yeah, but it's like, look, why? And here's the funniest thing: like, if people, if people are all on their guard and stuff, all you have to ask them is, why would anybody be trying to screw you in this time and age when all you have to do is go online and blast them on every medium? Where, I mean, I'm on, I don't know, 4 or 5 social media things. People could ruin my business if I screwed them. Like, they could completely take away my livelihood. Why? I can't think of many people that would be willing to do that. So I don't know. And Carolyn, you're right. That's exactly what I was saying about first time home buyers right now. They're like, yeah, this is what it is. This is what I can afford. I can afford this payment. I can, that means I can live here. And this is my interest rate.
This is why old people get angry over time.
Uh,
When you're young, it just, that's what it is. Cool. All right, fine. Then when you get a little older, you're like, it wasn't that expensive when I was, and then you start getting angry, right? This is what happens to people.
oh
This is
man,
just
yells at
age,
us.
I think.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The real
exactly.
issue is memory.
What? Wait, what were we talking about?
What were we talking about? That's a great question. That's a good question. Yes, that's also an issue. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
man. So, okay, and we have this is a quicker one today, but man, what are you make sense of it for me? I don't know how many times in the last 30 days I've said, you know what? I've never seen a market like this in my career, 15 years.
So,
It's not that long, but still.
yeah, on my coaching channel, I did a video where I released that 74% or I talked about it, right? 74% of realtors last year did zero sales.
Yeah.
And a week later, somebody called me out on my data, and I looked it up. And a week later, it had dropped to 71% because of how many realtors have dropped out of the running.
Not
Um,
because they did any work, it's because they got out.
right. So the number of realtors fell, and then you know what I mean. So it adjusted the closings. But I'll tell you, in every market, including commodities and everything else, there's going to be a floor, and then we're going to go back up, right? And so you get enough people to leave, like lenders and realtors, right? And then there's only so many left, right? And there's always going to be some demand for homes, right? And I think what we're seeing is somewhat of a bottom right now. I think that we've gone through the pain we're going to go through, and that the market's either going to stabilize or get a little better. But I don't see it getting worse. I don't see rates going up to 12, 13% kind of
Yeah,
crazy stuff.
and that's interesting because probably, probably at this time, no, not this time last year. There was one point, I'm trying to remember if it was in 2023, maybe in 2023, you felt like we could go double digits. And
Yeah,
so
I mean things are
you
bad.
saying that is kind of a big deal.
Well, I mean,
If
I
y'all
was
haven't
given
noticed,
mortgages at 8.5% at one point. What was that?
yeah, Steve's a pessimist. If y'all hadn't figured this out, I'm just letting you know. Like, I'm the
The world will
opposite.
end eventually. I'm just kidding.
I'm like, oh, it's great. Everything's great. Steve's like, nah, it's terrible. So anyway, yeah, but you really were talking about double digits, and now you're going, yeah, I think it's kind of at a floor. And honestly, looking at stuff, it feels like everything is stabilizing. It just feels like it. that's not what's in the news. Everything is this and that, and
Right.
like jump to
But it
reaction
does.
here, jump to reaction here. But if you look at what's happening, everything feels like it's stabilizing. I
Right.
don't know what that means. I don't know what that means moving forward. It's just what it feels like. I don't. Does that make sense? I don't
Yeah. That's what I'm seeing too. That's what I'm feeling.
know. Okay.
Um, we're getting more applications. We're getting more people that are interested. We're having less people that are scared and leave halfway through the process.
Yeah. It feels and so people that don't know, loan apps are good for 90 days, right?
Typically, yes.
And so that's kind of what my interest is right now. Okay, loan apps are up. Let's see what happens in the market in the next 90 days. Call it until the beginning of June, because that's typically the hottest part of our real estate market, right? From now until the middle of June. And I always tell people, if you haven't sold by July 4th, then we got some issues, because every, everybody goes on vacation July 4th. And
Yeah.
then they're back in, back to school, and you're buying tax-free clothes, and and then you shop again a little bit in September when the kids are back at school, but nobody really cares. So
Right.
that'll be interesting. Like, do these mortgage apps become all buyers in the next 90 days? Okay, that can be a good thing if we're at a 14-month high. Okay,
True.
and if that happens, you're right. We're probably at the floor, and now we're bouncing back up off of it in terms of values, because
I don't know. Um, I read this thing the other day that I don't want to get into politics. It's hard to do. It's hard to avoid, isn't it? But there's all this tariff talk, and
you know,
if things move in the there's no way to do this without getting political. So I'm not going to. But the point is that the tariffs might not be all bad. It would potentially lower rates, but also lower prices, which would mean great affordability for those that don't have, and those that do have. The value of your house goes down, that's going to suck, right? But at the same time, you'd be able to refinance too, right? At least a lot of you would. So I don't
yeah.
know. Um, I don't know. It'd be a
So
double-edged sword.
the funny thing, and we talked about this a little bit before, the funny thing with tariffs, and everybody, I've got a friend who's a realtor, and she was dealing with a builder who they were trying to get the buyers to basically give them an open-ended check. Like, if tariffs cause the prices to rise, you're going to pay for it. Like, what? And then, if you, like, anybody that has, this builder, if you had half a brain, sorry, I mean, the builder probably has half a brain, but if you had the other complete half, um, like, what are tariffs going to affect from a building cost perspective?
Dude, if I buy a car, drive it almost off the lot, and all four wheels fall off of it, and then it scrapes the bottom of the car, and then it sets on fire, right? I expect you to give me a new car, period.
Yeah,
Right? If you're building a house and you take a hit because you didn't put enough of a profit in there, that's on you. It should be on you. Right?
yeah,
We give you I have programs where I can give you almost all of the money up front to buy. I can actually give you like 50% of the costs, and it leaves like 30% left
yeah.
for most builders, right? I mean, you don't
That's right.
you can price in an increase,
And that's the
obviously.
thing. Look, as a builder, okay, so let's do this, buddy. And I say buddy because I don't know who the hell it is. Let's do this, buddy. Let's go ahead and go to a cost plus model. You show me all your receipts, and I'll pay you 20% above them.
Right.
Builders
You can
don't
even
want to
go
do that.
30%. You can go 30%. And let's even let's take one step further. Let's go every non-American company will buy them right up front with the money that we need, right? Anyways,
Yeah,
yes
Carolyn,
and
that's
no,
exactly
Carolyn.
right. Carolyn, that's exactly right. But the issue is right now is what the builder is scared of. The builder is scared of two things. The builder is scared of um, like Chinese implements and or not implements, appliances and things like that. And they're also scared of Canadian lumber. Well, the problem is when you combine those, it makes up about 7% of the cost of a typical home in the US. And if 7% of a home goes up 25%, like at $300,000, 7% is $21,000. And if that goes up 25%, then that's $5,000. And that's what the American Home Builders Association said. The tariffs could make a difference of $5,000 to $15,000 on the average home. Shit, if a builder sells 4 houses, they're going to raise the cost $5,000. It's freaking, it's the cost of
Plus,
selling houses.
plus, if you can see how much they're giving away right now in incentives and how
Dude,
badly they're beating the local lenders, there's a lot of wiggle room there.
a ton. And look, and we're late in the program already, and I'm going to say it, guys. If y'all don't know this, the reason builders give away incentives is they're trying not to screw the buyers that bought in the previous year or the year before that or the year before that. They're trying to keep their home prices high so the values appraised, but at the same time trying to sell houses now. It's all about the value of the house. And as soon as the builder leaves, they don't give a damn. They made their money, they're out. If your house is dropping value after that, they don't care. That's why they incentivize you to buy the houses so they can
But it's
keep
even worse though, because if you have like a 1 or 2 year old home in that neighborhood, and now it's time for you to try and sell, you're up against the new homes with all the new incentives and so then you have to lower your. It's not a fun place to be in.
Yep. Builders were under 5%.
For the rate, Cheryl.
Yeah, I think that's what she's talking about.
Yeah. Yep. They have
I,
incredible financing at the builders.
I'm going to tell you this. I've got a buyer that is under contract on a resale home where, yeah, Cheryl said, yeah, under 5%. Yeah. So
Nice.
guys, new home construction. This is why Steve says he can't compete with them because
No,
they're
not yeah.
great.
Go.
Yeah,
You're doing a new build. Don't go to me.
buying a house. But anyway, they, I've got a buyer that we are about 24% under what new homes are selling for in that neighborhood. Same size. This house is 2 years old. Absolute friggin' steal. Also, the seller is losing about $100,000 from what they paid for it. And they got to go.
Yeah, that's not fun.
It's
That's not
not
fun
as
at
a
all.
seller. It's not as a buyer. Just saying. I don't know. Just saying.
I got to get this off my chest. As long as we're on the topic,
Get it.
new builds, they have the best rates right now. I mean, I haven't seen anybody beat them. There are some new builds where you want to know if you're getting a real good deal. Just ask them to show you the price of the home without the incentives and see what happens. It's one of the funniest things in the. You think it sounds stupid, but just try it. But the other one is if you're doing a HELOC, a home equity line of credit, the best I've seen in town, and this could be wrong, as of yesterday, I'm not sure, right? But or today, whatever. But it was Frost Bank, and Frost Bank even has if you're under 80% area median income, they have a rate. Last I checked, I think it was 3.9. Yeah, and
For
their
HELOC?
HELOCs are their HELOC. Well, I think that was for a 30-year fixed. And
Whoa.
yeah, and then they had that, but it's only for first time home buyers and under 80% area median income, which means you can't make, more than average, basically. Um,
Yeah.
but Frost Bank, I can do HELOCs, but I won't. I send everybody to Frost. I want people to know I will do the right thing.
Right.
And so, if you're thinking of a HELOC, man, Frost Bank is where you should definitely check them out as an option.
And Frost is local to Austin, Texas. Just
Yes,
letting you know. Cool,
they're
man.
aggressive.
Yeah, yeah, they are, and they're also opening a branch in Dripping Springs, Texas. They're
Nice.
right
Nice.
now.
Yeah, this morning when I was down there are no Starbucks. Curse you
There is
down in Wimberley without
the
any
Wimberley,
Starbucks.
no. Dripping Springs, yes. And
Ugh,
there's a reason because no, we hate Starbucks. We've actually got good coffee here, dude.
couldn't tell. Couldn't find
Oh
anything.
my God.
It was
What?
nothing. All I
Oh my
saw was
God. Well, it
brewery
was a
after
Monday.
brewery after brewery. There were no gas stations. I was supposed to get beer last night on the way there. I had to go out of my way for miles to find a gas station. I was like, where? What? Who are these people? What are we doing down here? It's just farmland and breweries. You can drink
Listen,
all you want. You just can't take any home unless you got a growler with you.
brother, this is God's country.
I can complain, okay? I just want to complain a little bit. All right, I didn't get a lot of sleep last night.
See? Pessimist. Holy crap. Guys, every Monday, 5 o'clock, this is what we do. And next Monday, we'll find something smart to talk about again. And my friend, wait, let's see. Michael's going easy on the breweries, buddy.
I didn't say I didn't want to go to a brewery. They
And
sound
Cheryl,
awesome. I wanted to buy beer and bring it home. That was very difficult.
that's why,
I've never been so
that's why
challenged
around
in my
here,
life.
that's why around here we travel with milk jugs. Just
Hey,
there you
man,
go.
you know
Fill
what?
it
If
up.
that's what you want, dripping is your place. That is for sure. And I love Lago, and people make fun of me because there's only one road out here, but that's what I like about it. So
That's
that's
right.
fine
That's
too.
right. Everybody else
Yeah.
stay out.
To
We
each his
close the
own.
door behind us.
Yeah, there's plenty of room in Houston, I hear.
Guys, we will see you next Monday.